Hi everyone, it's Sandy and today I am doing my September wrap-up. It's a pretty sad wrap-up because I didn't read that many books. This month is probably the least I've read in the past 2-3 years, which is really sad because I honestly didn't expect to be as busy as I was in September, and that's mainly because of school. In September, I read 2.5 books. I'll get into that half book in the end. All of the 3 books that I'm mentioning in today's video are books that I mentioned in my currently reading video that I uploaded in the middle of September. So most of what I'm saying really isn't nothing new, but I still wanted to film a September wrap-up anyways. The first book that I read in September is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in Throne of Glass. I really wish I had reread the entire series before picking this book up, and I wanted to do that, but I just didn't have time to do it, and I knew that I wanted to read this book as fast as possible because I didn't want to get spoiled, but it ended up taking me 2 weeks to read this book, which kind of sucked, but I'm glad that I finished it, so now I don't have to worry about being spoiled. I wish I had reread the entire series before picking this book up because there were a lot of things that I've forgotten that were mentioned in the previous book, some small events and some minor characters that ended up having a bigger role in this book, such as Lorcan, and everyone seems to really love him in this book, but I just feel very indifferent about his character. I don't love him, but I don't hate him either. I don't know if it's just me, but it took me so long to get into this book. It took me more than half of the book before I was like really into it. The plot just seemed to drag for a long period of time. Once there was about 20% left, that was when I was like, yeah, this okay. However, the last 20% of the book was so good. In every Sarah J. Maas book that I've read, the last 20 to 30% of the book is just super good and way better than the first half. During that section, there were just so many moments that really tugged at my emotions, and I haven't felt that in a long time, where it really hurt me to continue reading because of what was happening to the characters. That includes both really happy moments and some really painful moments. One of my main problems with this book is that this entire series is told in multiple point of views, but now that there are so many more characters, this book would constantly change point of views, and I get that, but at the same time, I really wanted to get back to the main character because she is the heart of the story. I did enjoy the other chapters, but while I'm reading them, I would think, oh, I want to get back to this character. This happens to me a lot when reading books with multiple point of views. Once I'm reading a new chapter from a different point of view, I'll be thinking about the characters that I want to read from instead, but then once I get into that chapter, I wouldn't want to switch. So the multiple point of views is a love-hate relationship with me. Also, I'm a little bit bitter that a certain character was completely absent in this book. You've read it, you know what character it is. I understand why this character's chapters weren't included because that would really interrupt the flow of the book, but at the same time, I would have liked to see at least one chapter from this character's point of view just to see how this character was doing. I really want to talk about Manon because I really felt meh about her when reading Air of Fire. I thought her chapters were confusing and boring, but oh my god, I love her character now in this book. I started to like her more in Queen of Shadows, but in this book I really love her character. Overall, I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It's not my favorite in the series, but it's not my least favorite. Air of Fire is definitely my least favorite. It was still a good read, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what will happen in the 6th and final book. I have no idea where the story will go, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the author will wrap the series up. The next book that I finished in September is Furthermore by Tahara Mafi. This book follows our main character Alice, who is 12 years old. One day her father went to Furthermore and he never came back, and it has been several years since. So Alice and this boy named Oliver decide to go on this adventure to find her father who has been missing. I think my favorite thing about this book is Alice's character. I loved that she was full of sass, she was so confident, so bold, and the magic is pretty much based off color, and Alice is colorless, so that makes her really different from everyone else. I love the message that the book gives, that it's okay to be different and you should love yourself. I'm also not surprised at how much I enjoyed the author's writing. I really love her writing in Shatter Me, and in this book I didn't enjoy the story as much, but I think the writing is way better. The author has a way with words, and the way she describes color is so vivid, and I love it. There are things in this book, especially in the world of Furthermore, that aren't really explained well, so that would really confuse me as to how the world works. dark. I think that really adds to the whimsical aspect of the book. This book is just very different from other books that I've read because it's so whimsical. I do like the whimsical aspect, but I didn't really care much about the story. I didn't connect to the characters, but I didn't have a problem with that. I understand that it's a middle grade book. I still liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. So I ended up rating this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read in September is Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. I've read half of this book, so I'm not completely done with it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it in October. This is a nonfiction book, and it follows an attorney, aka the author of the book, and he has worked on many cases. One of the cases that the book revolves around follows this man named Walter, who has been sentenced to the death penalty for a crime he did not commit. In case you didn't know, I'm a psychology and criminal justice major. I actually had to read this book for one of my classes, and I'm so glad that this was one of the required readings because I would have never picked this book up if it wasn't. Reading this book makes me so angry about all the things that happen in the criminal justice system, going from innocent people being convicted for crimes they didn't commit to children being given life imprisonment without parole for non-homicide crimes. Reading this book really opened my eyes to all of the unfairness about the criminal justice system, and I've learned about that in class, but I didn't realize how ridiculous and outrageous it was until reading this book. To be honest, I don't know what exactly I want to do for a career, but reading this book makes me really angry, and it makes me really want to do something about our criminal justice system. So I'm really glad that I'm majoring in criminal justice and psychology. So who knows? I highly recommend that you read this. It really opened my eyes. Those are all of the books that I read in September. It really isn't a lot, but hopefully October is a better month. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what books you read in September, and I will see you next time. Bye!